I'm back. I said I'd be back today, and I am. So, I've got a couple of things I wanted to show you. I think if you haven't seen the last video, I just wanted to share that I finished my vintage needle book. She's a bit of a chunky monkey. There are a few things in it that won't stay in it. So I'll just do a quick flip through for those who haven't seen it. These vintage needle books aren't going to stay there, just to show that there are pockets in there. Got that one, that pocket, got a tab here, needle book holder here, needle holder here. Those needles will stay. This is new since you've last seen. This has been stitched in. These needle books won't stay. This little vintage hexagon's been sewn on since you've last seen it. Another pocket here. Again, that won't stay. Another page. Another wool page for your needles and pins. Some safety pins there. There's a little decorative pin here with a little stalk scissor charm on it. I've stitched this vintage lace in that you wouldn't have seen unless you saw the last video. These are all bits I've done since I last updated on the needle book. Another little vintage hexie, that's a new piece with a bit of lace there. Another page, it's got this replica pin with a little sewing machine charm on it, that will stay in there. Another pocket, they won't stay. Another woolen page for pins and needles again. I've stuck some pins in there. Cute little strawberry and forget-me-not on there. Another pocket made out of that vintage hanky with a vintage yo-yo, feed sack yo-yo. Another vintage needle book that won't be staying in there, just to show it's a pocket. This bit's newly stitched in, a little handmade medallion. Our scissors, scissor holder, the scissors will stay, they will be part of the booklet. Another pocket here. That needle book will not stay. Another pocket here, needle book won't stay. Another page, little handmade tag. Little pocket on the back here with a button that you can put little treasures in. For the purpose of just showing the video, I can't do this because the stand is right in my way and I can't see. So again, little needle book in there just to show that it's a pocket. That will not be coming with it either, but this will. Pull this thread out and there's a little needle threader included in that pocket, and of course you can add whatever else you want in there. Stick that back, close him up. There we go, and then there's another little pocket in the back there, and again that needle book is just to show that there's a pocket there. So none of the needle books will come with it. Everything else does. Everything else that has stayed in there will come with it when it is listed for sale. And she's done. I'm pretty sure she's done. I'm quite happy with that. She's definitely showing her age for vintage textiles, which is one of the things I love. It's had a life, it has a history, so that's pretty cool. And she's done. So the other thing I wanted to show you, I've got a packet here with these needle books in. I'll just put these away. There we go. Right, I think I've finally found a product that will get a lot more stains out of my vintage linen. So I just wanted to show you a few of these that I've soaked over the weekend. They're looking much cleaner, much brighter. nowhere near as grotty as they were. Most of these aren't showing any stains at all anymore, which is great. Oops. Oh, there's a little mark in there. I can see it through the monitor. But most of them have come out. They're looking a lot better than they were. This one, what was that? Little case. This is a linen. These linen napkins. Most of these I can't see any marks on anymore, which is really good. A lot of them were heavily stained, very yellowed. That one looks pretty good. Of course, I haven't done, just bear with me for a second, I'll put my new Do Not Disturb on, I forgot to put on. These ones, these two in particular, were very heavily stained with yellow. I'm not sure if I'm seeing that through the monitor or not. They don't look stained to the naked eye, but sometimes they show up through the monitor when I don't expect it to. And then I start to think, am I just seeing things in my eyes? You see, I can't see. Oh, there might be one there. There, see, that shows up in the monitor. But you can barely see that one with the naked eye. But it's a much better. These were heavily stained around these areas. Oh, I thought that one was very... See, I can't see anything on that with the naked eye, but on the monitor it looks like there might be something in there. Don't know. It's hard to tell. Ah, here's one. Look, there's definitely a mark there. But much, much better than they were. These ones I can't see anything. I mean, I could potentially do these again. I did these quite lightly because I didn't want to strip the colour out of them. The white ones, of course, I could probably go whole hog. Now see, that looks clean to the naked eye, but through the monitor, is there something in there? Don't know. It's really hard because with the naked eye I can't see anything. They're all looking much, much better. Much better. Can hardly see any marks on them now. This one was quite heavily stained. And again, I can't see anything with the naked eye, but in the monitor I can see little spots. Isn't that funny? They show up on the monitor, but it's really hard to see with the naked eye. Now this was that piece, I don't know if you saw the other day, this vintage cotton. This was off the top of a piece of lace and it was very stained. So I'm quite happy with how that's come up. And this, if you recall, there was a big dirty stain. Oh look, I thought that had completely gone, but on the monitor I can just see a shadow of it there. There we go, that's interesting. And this is looking much better too. And again, on the monitor I can see some staining in here that I can't see with the naked eye. Maybe if I put them out, soak them again, put them out in the UV light, that might eliminate those. Now, I was a bit brave, a bit too brave, and decided to soak my stamped or traced linens. Now this one, if you recall, had a nasty, nasty water stain, watermark on it. It went right through. I can't remember which corner, but it went all the way through like that. And I've gotten rid of that water stain. There's only a couple of marks here. That one will still be visible. These ones here you won't see because that'll all be removed, but I'm quite happy with how that one's come out. And this is one that I would like to stitch. I like the lotus. Now some of the ones I did, and I watched them intently to make sure that the print wouldn't come out. And one of them I've nearly completely lost the print. This one has faded significantly, so I will have to trace over this one again, hopefully, and not use that print because I really liked that one. That was a little, like a cocker spaniel in a basket of flowers. The stain has faded, but it's still there. It's not as bad as it was, but I'm a little bit bummed that some of it washed out. This one's on a piece of feed sack. The colour that came out of this, you wouldn't believe. This was brown. And the water, I actually saved a couple of water to show you, but I left it inside. The gunk that came out of this piece was unbelievable. This piece of fabric was, I don't even know how to describe it. I had no idea it was so dirty. Most of the print is still remaining that hasn't been stitched, so I might trace over some of them just to make sure that I can still see them. This one's come up, they've all come up so much better. Can barely see any marks on this one now. And I still think I'm going to unstitch this because it's quite chunky and I'm not fussed on how that's been done, so I'd like to redo that. This one was a completely different colour before I soaked it, and although there are still some marks on it, I'm again flabbergasted at how much this one has changed after a soak. That's part of a vanity set. You can see it written down the bottom here, but that's the only piece I have, so I like to try and finish that one. This is another one. This is another vanity set that's been stitched. Again, this one was a brownie colour. It was very grubby, very, very grubby. I didn't realise how grubby until I soaked it. So a lot of that staining has come out. There's still some there. And some of this has lightened a bit, which is not ideal, but I can trace over that to finish that stitching. I've got some little sandwich tray cloths I'd like to finish off. They've come up quite well. Again, although there's still some staining on them, they're much, much cleaner than what they were. And the outline's still there. Here's another one. That one's come up nice and clean, very clean, that one. And this nasturtium one. That one's much better too. I'm flabbergasted in how much the colour in some of these have changed. This was another one. This was a browny, creamy colour. And although you can see some of the stains through the monitor there, it's so much cleaner, and those marks are much harder to see to the naked eye. This is another one where I lost quite a bit of the print that I'm going to have to go over again. The cushion cover. You can see it quite well through the monitor, but it's quite faded to the naked eye. But again, completely changed colour. This was a real browny colour, this linen, before I soaked it. And you can still see some staining around the edges there. And again, that staining is much, much more prevalent through the monitor than it is to the naked eye. This one, this was a very different colour too. This was a real creamy beigey colour, and it's come up much, much different. This is the bit that was already stitched. Quite chunky there. Not sure if I'm going to be able to match that style of stitching when I do the rest of it. But again, quite surprised at how different this looks after a soak. Again, you can see got quite a bit of fading in here. And again, I only soaked these for minutes. I was watching them the whole time to make sure I wouldn't lose the colour. And if I did start to see any of it fading, I'd pull them straight out and rinse them off straight away. Then I've got, what's this piece? Oh, this is that beautiful Art Nouveau tablecloth. Some of this is faded, I'll need to go over, but it has come up much, much better. I believe this is much more faded on this side, but I'm pretty sure from memory, no, I thought this one had some very heavy stains on it. Must be the other one. So this has come up much, much cleaner as well. Again, very different colour to before it went in the soak. This one here, this is on feed sack, and it's an apron. This is I really like this pattern on this one. It's got a birdhouse and cherry blossoms, and there's a cute little bird down here, possibly a pigeon by the shape of it. So that's an apron I'd really like to stitch. There's a little bird in flight. There's still some marks on this one, but again, much, much cleaner than what it was before. Much better. This is the first one. Now, to the naked eye, I can hardly see anything. It might show up in the monitor. A lot of the outline is so faded. I'm hoping I can trace over this and rescue it. It's very, very faded. So that was a bit of a bummer. I didn't expect, and I mean, I was going to say I didn't expect. I've mentioned before I did this many, many years ago with a different soaker, different quality. I mean, it was 30 odd years ago. And as soon as I dunked it in, the outlines disappeared. So I've been very hesitant to put any of them in. But I used an oxygen bleach this time, so it's not as harsh. I may have mixed it a bit too strong. This is that lovely piece that I thought would be nice stitched up, that had the holes in it. Now the holes were not as big, but this fabric is just deteriorating. So again, much, much cleaner piece of textile. It's a very fine linen, this one. Beautiful fine linen. So I thought this would be a good one to do the stitching and use as a cutter. This piece, this was a real creamy, almost browny colour, and I almost didn't recognise it when I got it out after it had dried. It has been started. It's a cut work, and you can still, if you recall before, it was very heavily stained around here, but it's almost white now. Beautiful, beautiful fine linen again. And again, I cannot believe how different this piece looks after it's had a wash. Here's another child's apron on a, not sure if it's feed sack or calico, this one. It's a bit heavier than the first one. There's a little bit of fading happening here, but I can still see that one, so it's not too bad. So that's another one I'd like to stitch up. And then this is the one I think with the very heavy staining. It's much, much cleaner. We've got this mark here. Some of it is very, see these, they haven't budged. I think they've lightened. They were quite a dark brown. But the design on this is absolutely stunning. I love this one. I will definitely be stitching this one, regardless of the stains, because it's such a pretty, pretty design with those birds. Don't know if you recall, I had this out the other day, and now look again. To the naked eye, I can't see any yellowing on this, but through the monitor, I can see some. So I thought I'd gotten rid of all of the yellow stains on this one. This is very pretty, this one. Beautiful fine linen again. Someone's done all that hand embroidery. And the back is almost identical to the front on this. It's so well done. Very pretty linen tablecloth, but again quite heavily stained, so it will probably become a cutter piece for needle books or something. Now, I've got a couple of things here that I've had before. If you recall these hankies, these were very heavily stained, and this top one I still couldn't get. These were real browny stains on this. This top one I still haven't got all the staining out. I reckon if I did this one again that would nearly shift that piece. But the rest of them have come up beautifully. I can't see any marks on any of the rest of them. Beautiful vintage little handkerchiefs. So that would probably be good for a needle book, one of those. They're quite small little ones. So, you know, there's the size of my hand. They're cute little ones. Now, a lot of these, I'll go backwards a bit here because... Now this is a piece that I'd pulled out the other day from my stash. I've got two in this print. They've both been started and they're both in very different colours. I didn't wash this one. I think I've just put it there as a marker actually. No other reason. Now this was another stitchery that was very heavily stained, and unfortunately I still couldn't get that big heavy one out. I could keep working on it, but I'm afraid if I do, the linen will either wear through or I'll completely wash away that outline. It's definitely faded, but I still couldn't shift that one. Now this is one that I had, I think I showed the other day, and it was quite heavily stained. You can still see some, this had really big, there's a great big rust ring here. And it was quite dark. It was a dark browny rusty colour, and I've managed to fade those rust stains quite a bit, and it's come up quite well, all things considered. Quite happy with that one. So I was going to say, what is that blue? It's a bit of thread. I could see a shadow through there and couldn't work out what it was. So I was quite happy with that one. Now, I've got a few little things here. If you were watching the other day, I was going on Friday to visit a lady who had advertised some pieces on Marketplace. Now, I didn't know what to expect. I'm just waiting for that truck, sorry. I've been trying to do these videos for the last 3 days, and every time I set up and press record, some sort of machinery starts up and you wouldn't have been able to hear me. But anyway, didn't know what to expect when I went to this lady's house. She had just advertised she had some vintage doilies available. They started from $1. I still don't know where the $1 pieces were. I haven't seen them. I thought the ones that I was looking at were the $1 pieces, but she charged me more than that. Stop barking, please. It's the shopping truck across the road that comes every week. Now go and lay down, please. Willow, go and lay down, please. On your bed, quick. On your bed, quick. Don't back chat, mate. Go and lay down. So, when I arrived, as I said, didn't know what to expect. The lady came and greeted me at the door. I had quite detailed instructions on how to find the door. When I arrived, it was a house in the middle of suburbia, in the middle of Newcastle actually. And from the front gate, from the moment you walk through the front gate, there is a nursery. And you walk into a grove of fruit trees that are potted. They're for sale. They're stunning, beautiful fruit trees, and they're quite large. They'd be 2 or 3 meters tall. And then as you work your way up towards the house, the door of the house, there's other different plants, beautiful healthy plants for sale. And you walk past the garage, and when she opens the garage door, from floor to ceiling, wall to wall, are crates of linens and notions and haberdashery and whatnot. And she asked me what exactly I was looking for, and I just started with asking for small doilies and sandwich tray cloths. She brought out 3 or 4 crates, 3 crates for me to look through, which took me nearly 2 hours, and told me that she has over 15,000 pieces in total. So I will be going back, but nearly every single piece I looked at was heavily stained. I was hesitant to pay for them because I didn't know if I'd be able to clean them up. But I've soaked them, the ones that I bought, and I'll show you what I've ended up with. Now this piece, there's still a heavy stain up here, and there's still some staining, but this piece was almost brown, and that's the back of it, sorry. And I picked this piece up because I thought it was cute, and I thought if I can rescue it, I quite liked it. So then I got this piece, which I thought was quite pretty. I've got some pansies that are quite similar. I found this little sandwich tray cloth, not exactly vintage, but still quite cute. It's quite well loved. Some of the fabric's worn through, but it's still a cute little piece, I thought. Now, from now on, the rest of these, the majority of these were very, very heavily stained. Did not think I'd be able to clean them up, so I'm quite happy with what I've achieved. This one was brown. This one was even more brown. It was brown, and it had, I don't even know how to explain it. There were speckles all over it that were almost black. But this is what she looks like now. You could hardly see a lot of the stitching. I knew it was there, I could feel it, and you know, from the shape of it, you had an idea of what was on it, but it was very, very stained, that piece. There's still some age marks on it, but I'm quite happy with how it's come up. Now this one was an off-white creamy colour. Again, still some light staining on it, but again, very happy with how this has come up. This next one was one of my favourites. I could see the stitching on it, and again, this one was brown. So I'm very happy with this one. This crocheted edge was all crunched up, so it looked like it just had an edge about so wide. You could not see that crocheted edge at all, so I'm very happy with how that one's come out. Again, there's some age marks on it, but much better than what it did look. This is one I already had that got thrown in to be soaked. At this stage, I think I'm going to pull off this synthetic lace because it just doesn't do anything for this beautifully embroidered piece. This is another one that was a dark, creamy, almost tanny brown. So it's come up quite nice. It's very fine linen, this one, but beautifully stitched. The back is almost as neat as the front. Beautiful piece of linen, that one. So very happy how that one's come up. This one as well, a creamy light browny colour before I soaked it. Now this one, you might notice the crocheted edge, it either hasn't been finished or it's come undone. So I will undo that and replace that crocheted edge because that's a beautiful piece, that one. Next one, again, this was quite a brownie, tanny brownie colour. I should have photographed them before I washed them, because I honestly don't think you would have believed how they looked before I soaked them. Another one that was a brownie colour. It's come up quite well. Look how fine that stitching is. The back of it. Very happy with that one. Now this one was a set of 3. These 3 were very, very heavily stained once again. And again, the whole time, just crossing my fingers, hoping that I could clean them up. Now, unfortunately, with the first 2, they were so heavily stained that after a wash, they've just deteriorated. They've fallen apart. Now, I don't believe those holes were there before I washed them. But that's exactly where the really, really heavy stains were. I wasn't hard on them. I've just soaked them, and that's how they've come out, unfortunately. But beautiful pieces. Look at the sheen on that thread. So there's the first one. The second one isn't as bad. At this stage I can only see the one hole up here. Potentially I could repair that, I guess. There's a stain down here left on this one. But again, these were very, very heavily stained. And here's the third one. And she doesn't look too bad. She's the best out of the 3 by the looks. There's a couple of marks down here, but not too bad. Again, this next one was a real brownie colour. Didn't know if I'd be able to rescue her, and here she is in all her glory. I didn't spend a huge amount of money because, as I said, I didn't know if I'd be able to clean them up. I didn't know what I was going to end up with. This one as well, a brownie colour before she had a wash. It's come up quite pretty. Oh, these trucks are so bloody noisy. This one was a brownie beigey colour as well. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And this is what made me push through, because the stitching on some of these is stunning. Absolutely stunning. Some of the ones I looked at were probably more than half of them. The stitching was not done well. It was either very messy, very rustic, or very chunky, or a lot of them were painted with hobby text instead of stitch, so I had to be careful. This one again, quite brown. I didn't even realise that these were here. This piece was so dirty. You can see on the back here. That might actually be, I might have scorched that actually, because the front's not too bad. I had some of them, if I wasn't sure, I had to actually try and feel for stitches, because some of the hobby text was quite neat. This one again was quite brown, and it's come up quite nicely. They were all, honestly, they were all very, very grubby. I don't know why. I know the lady that was selling them hasn't washed any of them. Turns out I've actually known her for many, many, many years, for over 30 years. Didn't realise it was someone I knew. So I know that she's been selling them for a long time. She doesn't sell where she used to. And I know that she doesn't wash them because she didn't have time to do them. So they're just pieces that she's bought herself. I know she's carted them around with her for years to different markets she used to attend. So whether all the grimes accumulated from being carted around, they're all in crates. They were all quite nicely piled up and laid out in crates. So in theory they should be clean. But I also remember when I used to look at them 20 odd years ago at the markets, you used to be able to handle them. You know, it wasn't a problem to walk up and handle them and feel them. So I'm assuming over the years they've been handled that much that they've just become quite grotty. Another one that's come up really well. Again, they were all, honestly, they were all very, very marked. This one's a very fine one, but very pretty, and I'm so pleased with how it's come up as well. Look at that pastel green, isn't it pretty? Lovely fine linen. This one's pretty too. Look at that. There's a eyelash or something on that one. This almost looks like a hanky, but it's quite a heavy linen. Pretty one. And these two are stunning, and I'm so pleased with how they've cleaned up. Look at that. Fuchsias. Hello, Kathleen. I've got something here to show you actually. I found something on Friday that I don't know if you'll like it or not. There's no obligation, but I'm about to show it because I saw it and I thought, oh, I wonder if Kathleen will like that. I've actually written an email about this long to you, Kathleen. I keep trying to fill you in and I just haven't sent it yet. So these two were two more that I'm really pleased with how they've come up. And look at that padded satin stitch. Beautiful. I'm so glad I was able to get all the grubby marks out of those. And then this one, I can't remember if this one I got from there or if I got it, I think I got it last week at a opshop. But anyway, there's those ones. Again, quite pleased with how they've come up. Quite stunned with how well they've come up considering how grubby they were. And again, I'm kicking myself for not having recorded that. Now, Kathleen, this is the piece I found that I thought you may like. It's sort of a kit. Someone started creating it. I did pay quite a bit more for this than what I normally would, but it looks like really good quality, and I haven't seen all of this together before. So I'll show you firstly. Here's the cottons that have come with it. I haven't opened them yet. They've just come straight out of the bag. And 6 meters of binding was included as well, lawn bias binding. And then, so this has been started, as I said. There is a placemat that's been started. That's the back, you silly goose. So this is a placemat. I'd be inclined myself, if I was going to use this, someone has cut it already, it's already been pre-cut, but I'd be inclined to pull the warp and weft along the edge to square it up if I was to do that. But again, it depends what you'd want to use it for. So this one looks like the stitching's completed. Then there's a second placemat that is not completed, but it has some marks on it. There's a mark up here. There's some marks down here. I reckon they'd probably wash out. So this one has been started, but not finished. These sides are not finished yet. There's a couple of little bits, little petals in here. The centre's in a couple that aren't finished. Now this is, where's my ruler to give you an idea of the size. Now this is a beautiful, another quite heavy linen, this one. Beautiful quality linen. That's one of the reasons I picked it up. When it was sold to me, I couldn't see that these two had already been stitched. All I saw was the stamped linen, the thread and the binding, the bias binding. Now these are, so that's 18 inches, just over 18 inches from edge to edge across. And then this one is not quite 12 inches that way. And then the exciting bit is, oh, before I get to that, there's instructions with it. So it tells you which colours to use and how to do the stitches, how to put it together. And then the exciting bit is, again, this beautiful, heavy quality linen. And this is a table runner, and it has not yet been stitched. So there's the center, and there are two sides. No, it's alright, it's just a bit of thread, bit of fluff. I've just scrunched it a little bit there. I can't, with my naked eye, I can't see any marks on this piece, but that doesn't mean there isn't any. The monitor seems to pick them up better than my eye does. But yeah, there's the table runner. Did that say, oh look at that, I didn't notice that. This has got written on it, Australian Family Circle. So this must have been a kit you could order through the Family Circle. I don't believe it would have been something that would have been included with the magazine, because things of this quality just weren't included. You had to pay. You could send away for the kit. But I'm guessing it's probably from the 80s by the look of it. I might be able to find it if I Google it. I'll see if I can measure the size of this runner. $24. About 35.5, 36 inches long. And then I'm assuming it's probably the 12 inches wide again. Oh, this bloody traffic. Not quite 12 inches, so this end looks a little bit narrower than the other end, and you can see it's probably about 11 3/4. But once you square it up, I'm guessing it'll be about 11.5 before you put the binding on, if that's what you want to do. I'm sorry, Kathleen, that comment flashed past before I got to read it. So there we go. They're the special pieces I've been trying to show that I was a bit excited about. I thought you might like them. I'm not sure. Again, as I said, no obligation at all. But don't forget, this second tablecloth has some staining on it that I reckon might wash out. Looks like someone might have had grubby fingers while they were stitching. Actually, I should put that one on the outside, shouldn't I? So the runner's basically twice the size of the table placemats by the looks. If I fold it in half, they fit quite well on there. Fold it back up. I don't want to... I need a bigger bag. I don't want to fold it too much. Put it back in this bag to keep it clean. And there's the instructions, the cottons, and the binding. Now this to me looks like something my grandma had from the 80s as well, so I reckon this might be... Ah, yes, I thought you might... Yes, I suspected if you liked it, that's what you might do. Fabulous. So I'm glad you liked that. I spotted it, and you know what? I ummed and ahed for half an hour over buying that, because, as I said, it was a bit more than what I'd normally pay, quite a bit more. But once I felt the quality of that linen and saw that it had the cross stitches on it, I thought, oh, this might be a goer. So I picked it up. There was a tablecloth there as well that I really liked that had little heartsies on it. It had the cottons with it, and it had a cotton machine made beautiful lace edge, about so wide. But it was a lot more than, I mean, it was, again, a lot cheaper than buying it brand new, but a hell of a lot more than what I would have normally paid. Hopefully, if she's still got it when I go back in the new year, I may buy it. But yeah, it was a bit much the other day, considering when I made contact with this lady on Marketplace, she'd only advertised a handful of doilies, and you know, for $1 a piece. And again, of course, she charged me quite a bit more than $1 a piece, so I still don't know where the $1 ones were. And I did not expect to come face to face with 15,000 doilies. So as I said earlier, I only got to, yeah, okay, awesome. That's what I was hoping. I'm just reading your latest message, Kathleen, before it flicks away. Yeah, I looked through 3 crates of doilies. They weren't full, and they're only maybe a couple of foot by foot big. They weren't huge crates. It took me nearly 2 hours just to go through the 3, and this lady had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of crates to go through. So she's given me a phone number. I can arrange to go back and have a look. At this stage, it won't be till after Christmas. I was hoping to find some tablecloths, but apparently they sell straight away when she comes across those. And she doesn't normally keep the stamped linens either. So I did ask for those, and at first she said, no, I don't have any. They sell out straight away. And then she disappeared while I was looking and came back and said, I found a handful. And I think she had 5 or 6 pieces. There was a little doily that wasn't very nice, and I think it was overpriced for what it was. It was just a little stamped doily with lazy daisy flowers on it. There was this one, the runner with the tablecloths, and I thought this was just oh no, it does say runner and 2 placemats. There was a Duchess set, which, why didn't I like it? It was cut work, I think, and it had been started. That's right, it was in a funny beigey colour. And there were 2 or 3 tablecloths. They were 90 centimetres squared, each of them. There was the heartsy one that I mentioned earlier. There was another floral. I didn't like it because it was in oranges and autumnal colours, and they're not my colours. I don't like them. So, and it was very overpriced, so I left that one straight away. Yeah, and that's about it, I think. That was my Friday outing, thinking that I'd only be looking at a handful of doilies. As I mentioned earlier, though, I wish I had recorded how stained these were before I soaked them, because honestly, you would not have believed what they were like. This one, as I mentioned, this one was a dark brown colour. Some of the stamped linens were, they were just the stamped linens from before that I showed the other day, actually. This is another one. It was very brown in colour, and since I've washed it, it's just deteriorated. But every one of these were a very browny, either a yellowy creamy colour or a dark browny, between beigey browny. Some of them were dark brown. So I'm very, very grateful that they've come up as well as they have. Wasn't holding my breath though, which is another reason why I didn't buy many, because I just didn't know how they'd come up. But there we go. That's my latest haul. I've finished my needle book. Finished the needle book. So I'm now on to my next needle book. I'm hoping to get some kits pulled together for needle books or for sewing kits. I really hope I can get those done in the next few weeks. I've got a really big week coming up with therapy and inspections and smoke alarm, the smoke alarm guy coming to test it and a few other things. So for the next week, I'm pretty well flat out. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get much done in that time. I did go and see my doctor the other day, last week, and it looks like one of the medications she put me on a month or so ago has been making me sick. I've been having an adverse reaction. It's just a weight loss medication. It was nothing overly serious, but my body has not liked it, and it's starting to look like that's what's causing my 5 times more worse than usual chronic fatigue and the muscle pain and the weightiness in my muscles and breathlessness and a few other weird symptoms that have been happening. So since I've been coming off it, and I'm starting to feel a lot better, thank goodness. So hopefully I'll get a bit more done now that I'm starting to feel better. Well, better than I had in the last 5 or 6 weeks anyway. Not sure, I don't think there's much. Oh, I was going to trace around some of those linens. That's right, you don't want to sit here and watch me do that. So I think I'll get going for now. And that's about all I can think of. I've got all these thoughts going through my head, thinking, what have I forgotten? What have I forgotten? Is there anything else I needed to tell you guys? Lots of things, but I'll leave it at that. And what I might do later today is make a list of things that I want to either fill you in on or do as tutorials or whatever. In fact, if there's anything that you'd like me to show you or teach you or do tutorials on, drop it in the comments and I'll add those to the list of things to get done and upload as tutorials or how-tos or whatever. But in the meantime, thank you so much for joining me again. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support and your encouragement. And of course, as usual, if you haven't done so, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, because that will help me tremendously be able to upload more videos. Since I just want to clarify, I'm not able to pre-record at this stage because my phone's really old, so I'm limited to how many lives I can do and upload. So the more followers I get, I think I need to reach 500 before they lift that restriction. So yeah, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do so. And thank you once again. I'll see you next time.